Hello, everybody. It's G for G time with your pal, Napalm Dawn. Today, we're taking a look at Marvel Snap as the Zabu season wraps up, aka the Savage Land season. There's about 4 hours and 13 minutes left in this season at the time of the recording of this video. There are hungry cats around me, so I'm going to try and make this as quick as possible before something goes absolutely nuts. I hit the credit cap today by accident, so I went ahead and spent so that I could collect my rewards. First time I've hit the credit cap in a long time. I think the last time I hit it, the credit cap was like somewhere around 4,000 or so. I haven't been hoarding credits by any stretch. I sort of went through a period where the credits were low, so I decided to kind of take it easy on upgrading cards. But one of the bundles that was available came with a good deal of credits, and that kind of put me back on the path. And I mean, I've been upgrading quite a bit as I go along, but I managed to hit the credit cap again, so I went ahead and spent. I'm finishing up the season with about 65, maybe 66 or so on my season pass, so that's pretty cool. It's the highest I've been in a while. In terms of competitive rankings, where am I? It is not particularly high. It's 28, but I don't particularly push. I like to just simply play the game and see how my deck ideas work out, and I'm not trying to climb the ladder or anything. So you may say, hey, that's like fucking scrubby bronze going on over there. What's up, you bronzy baddie? I don't actually care. My decks overall are doing well. They're doing what they're supposed to do. So whether I'm an iron or wood or cork tier or way up in Infinite and Omega, it doesn't really make a difference to me because I'm not actually trying to scale the ladder on this one. Maybe I'll push to 30 by the end of the season. We'll see. But I wanted to just go ahead and touch base with how my rewards were going and everything. So finished the season pass, got the variant of Zabu, which isn't really that different from his existing card. Got the Savage Land back, have the Zabu avatar. To be honest, I think I'm going to be sticking with the Thor avatar for some time, mostly because it was an avatar that was available during the beta, so it stands out. I see a lot of people on the Marvel Snap Facebook group, not the official one, but one that was repurposed from a previous Marvel game into a Snap group. I see this Black Panther one in a lot of people's match screenshots, and I hate it because it kind of looks like dopey Batman. And I know it's supposed to be Black Panther, but every time I see somebody post and this avatar is in their screenshot, I'm like, that's Batman. Come on, I'm Batman. This Doctor Doom one is pretty cool. The Infinite one is cool. Storms are badass. Swordmaster just kind of looks very anime. I hate this Nakia one. The eye makeup just bugs the crap out of me. The Okoye one is great. The Venomized Spider-Woman's great. But I think I'm probably going to be sticking with the Thor one for a while. I know I used to use this Gamora for a little bit, but once I got the Thor one, I've switched and have been using that ever since, mostly because in Marvel Future Fight, this is a pretty cool uniform, although it's not the top for him anymore. Over here in my card collection, you'll see 12 is lit up, mostly because I have some variants that I can upgrade, but I'm holding off until I get the upgrades for the main card. Like here, this Korg, I hate this pixel variant, so I'm waiting until I get enough to upgrade the main Korg. And that's kind of like that for a lot of the cards that you'll see as having upgrades available. Can't say I've had too much in the way of variants. Titania was a recent pickup. I've seen some people today actually posting the results of some deck usage with her. I have not designed a deck around her, nor have I tried to look up how she could potentially work, unless maybe potentially like a Lockjaw or Jubilee would keep her changing back and forth. This one you'd have to math out, like how in one turn can you drop her, send her over, get her back, and keep her on your side, and keep that pattern going over there. The still hate this Carnage variant. Not using it, just using the original Carnage one. Like to pick up another variant for Carnage because this one's just the base card, but I cannot stand using Baron von Underbite over there. Okoye Pixel version, I have others from Okoye that I like, so I'm not upgrading that one. I know a lot of people on the Facebook post about liking the Dan Hip variants. I actually don't really like the majority of those. Got this variant of Colossus. So I picked up Viper somewhat recently. Your opponent gains control of one of your other cards at this location. This could maybe work with Titania. That would be kind of funny. Like you drop her when Titania's on your side, and then you take it back. I don't know. I haven't worked anything out yet with that. Have this Patriot variant. That's pretty new. Have Slobberjaw over here. For Dan Hip, this one's okay. When my Lockjaw maxes out, I wouldn't mind building up that variant. Got a bunch of Storm variants, bunch of Zabus, and you can see here, this is what I meant about they're very, very similar. This Chibi variant of Debris I've had for a little bit. Been using Venomized Killmonger. In terms of recent... Oh, there's the Swordmaster variant. In terms of recent pickups, I've had Dracula for a bit. This Jubilee, which was part of the package. Enchantress, I've been working in a couple decks, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. Omega Red is a semi-recent pickup for me. Drax is actually relatively new. Haven't had Drax that long. Haven't had Rockslide that long, but I've been using him in a couple decks. One of my original splits in Gamora. I have a couple decks with Doc Ock and Red Skull, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. And this Giganto variant is relatively recent also. Baby Magneto is my primary Magneto over there. So in terms of decks, the one that has been pulling the most amount of work for me lately is this Lockjaw deck that I call Lockjaw. It is basically to try and get Lockjaw out and do the cheapy cards below him to cycle and get in some of the bigger cards. Doesn't always work. It seems like I pull at least a few of the big cards before Lockjaw even comes out. But in that case, what I tend to do is skip turn 5 and use Infinite for the win. The idea is to have Lockjaw down and drop like a zero cost Wasp and maybe pull in anybody from Spider-Woman to Death. Hood is another good one with Lockjaw. Drop Hood, get the demon out of Hood, but then Hood goes back into the deck thanks to Lockjaw. This deck wins surprisingly frequently. I've only had 3 losses using that deck, maybe 4, and a lot of those have more been about the zones that I encounter. Chanty, this is a deck that Enchantress likes to turn off things that are negative for me. So on reveal, remove the abilities from all ongoing cards at this location. The idea is to drop a Typhoid Mary or a Red Skull before Enchantress drops, and Zabu is one of the things that can help that out. Hopefully what happens is Zabu reduces Enchantress to a 2, and then negating Typhoid Mary or Red Skull. To be honest, if you have a weak zone on your opponent's side, a 5/15 is still really good, even if you buff the enemy zone. But She's looking to maybe turn off somebody like Electro, where I get the +1 max energy, but then I can turn off his restriction of only playing one card, and then also turn off Typhoid Mary and Red Skull. Shang-Chi's just in there for kill. Beast attempts to cycle the people below him, like drop a Black Widow, Agent 13, or an Elektra, have Beast bring them back to my hand, have them do their actions again. Haven't really used it much. It does okay. This Nuisance deck is funny. I play it a lot because I like to play it, but it is designed to just basically harass people and potentially ruin their plans early on. So you have Iceman giving a random card +1 cost. Boy, that would... maximum of 6. It would be funny if he was allowed to take a 6 to a 7 and negate the strategy. I mean, Yondu could outright kill a card and take away a 6. Iceman making a 6 a 7, I think should just be part of his powers, or maybe update him to like a 2/2. But okay, so the best you can do is take a 5, make it a 6. Korg is there to inject a rock in the enemy deck. Black Widow is there to force the usage of Widow's Bite and occupy a spot. Scorpion, everybody just absolutely loves Scorpion, cough cough. Baron Mordo is a good harassment card that I never really see, but again, it could mess things up. You don't get to see the results of what he does because you don't see any deck animations on the enemy side. I have to really pay attention to see if I see somebody dropping a 2 cost that is now a 6 or something, but when you drop Mordo, it's almost like, is he actually doing anything? Cosmo is there so that on reveal abilities won't happen. That's a nuisance. Wave is a setup for the rest of the deck. What I like to do is try to drop Rock Slide or Doc Ock, and then have Taskmaster copy their power. Cosmo into Doc Ock is pretty cool. This is a combo that has won me a couple matches where I drop Cosmo and then drop Doc Ock for a nice 5/10, and then he doesn't pull cards. Alternatively, once you've ejected things like Black Widow Bites and Korg Rocks and Rock Slide Rocks into the enemy deck, you hope that Doc Ock drops in a zone that maybe only has one slot full or one slot available and pulls it a rock and messes up somebody's plan. Omega Lulls is a deck based around using Omega Red and Warpath to really jack up one particular location. Crossbones is in there because why not? Crossbones never gets put in any decks, so he's there to continue to help Omega Red win locations. Moon Girl could potentially duplicate Omega Reds, and then you could have Zabu dropping 2 Omega Reds in there. Warpath, it's always sketchy whether or not you can get Warpath to do what he's supposed to do. Psylocke is a relatively new card for me. It's nice to finally have her. She sees a lot of play, and Sunspot is there for just early turn skippage. And the Onslaught hopefully will go with Omega Red and double his ongoing so that it's +8 at the other location. So that's my Omega Lulls deck. And then Cerebro 2 is a deck archetype that I encountered recently, where you try to get as many things that are 2 power as possible, and then Cerebro buffs them, and you can Mystique your Cerebro for an additional bonus, and then you can also do Blue Marvel, or even if you wanted to, if you can get Cerebro and Mystique out there, and then use, where is our friend Onslaught, double your other ongoing effects at this location. So you could have Cerebro being duplicated by Mystique, and then you can Magneto the Mystique. I'm using Iron Man instead on that one. This is not exactly what people do with Cerebro. There are some other cards in the Cerebro archetype, but I don't have them. So I've made some modifications to it. And that is pretty much it for new cards and new decks. You can see other videos to find out about the Darth Plato Death deck, my Doom test. I use Darth Death a lot. This deck is fun to play. Return cards, not as much. Doom test, not as much. I like the theory of no power, but from right around here in my list over to the left, I'm just not using these decks as much anymore. On Reveal used to be my go-to one when I wanted to win matches or do a deck that I was the most comfortable with. I have not used this deck in a long time, but you could see how much I did used to use it with all of the powers in here. Rogue came in recently to potentially be Odin and steal another ongoing. And here's my ongoing deck that I use when I actually have dailies and weeklies to do a ongoing set of cards, and Mystique finally got put in there when I got her. Discard Duty is my original discard deck. Death is mine, but I've usually been using the Darth Plato Death deck more than my own. And I never use my move deck anymore, or my control deck, which is kind of basically the annoyance deck, or the duplicating Handy Fury deck or Zoo deck. Just not really using them much anymore. So, before we go, I'm going to go ahead and open these collection level items that... Oh! Huh. Interesting. That is a pretty well-loved card. Move it on Reveal for Arrow. Move all enemy cards played this turn to this location. Very interesting. That goes a long way to completing some popular cards there. So anyway, congratulations to those finishing up where they want to finish up for the Savage Land season. I hope you got your battle passes to a level that you wanted them to, and that your PvP ranking is to your liking. So stay tuned to the channel, folks. We'll see what we're covering. We'll probably be covering the new season once it actually drops. And I've heard some people talking very highly about the Shadow King card, and that one is going to be really interesting, played so brilliantly by Aubrey Plaza in Legion. So take care, everybody, and see you in the next video.